It'll fix itself. It always does. 3, 2, 1, live.
Hello everybody, welcome back to RIPDebt23. We are raising money to erase medical debt for people. It's a very worthy cause. Please consider a donation if you can. And coming up next, we have Final Fantasy 1 being run by Talbrik. So please, feel free to introduce yourself and take it away.
Yeah, welcome back everybody. This is Final Fantasy 1. Definitely not the same game that you just watched. You're definitely going to come across a lot of new terms and new bosses and new places, and none of them were in Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origins.
It's a sequel that came out 35 years before its prequel.
Exactly. Joining me today is Octini.
What up?
Some of you probably recognize Octini because he's been around for basically this whole marathon because he organized it or something. But this is Final Fantasy 1 for PSP. So this is a remake of the original NES version. This was the 20-year anniversary?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's the 20th anniversary.
And so it includes some end-game bonus dungeons, bonus bosses, those sorts of things. We won't see any of those dungeons, but we will see the items that you can get in those dungeons. One thing I'll throw out just before we get started, when you first boot up the game, this is the party that it gives you in this order. And for the speedrun to work, we have to be in this order. So I will pretty quickly do some shopping, and then I will execute a glitch that we use throughout the entire run. Once I get through it the first time, I'll sort of explain what's going on, or Octini if you want to try and explain it when we get going. But if everybody's ready to go, we will get started. Make sure I have live split selected. I do. We will get started in 3, 2, 1, go. So welcome back to Cornelia, everybody.
So, yeah, Talbrik was just saying this. What we're doing right now is we're doing some shopping immediately, and he is similarly immediately executing an item duplication glitch, and that's what allows, excuse me, that's what allows this speedrun to happen. Most Final Fantasy speedruns are very long. The Final Fantasy 1 speedrun is the shortest of the mainline speedruns, of the mainline Final Fantasy speedruns, and the PSP version is the shortest of the Final Fantasy 1 platform versions, and that is because of the item duplication glitch. It allows us to get late game, or in some cases post game, weapons and armor really early on, so virtually no enemies are of any real threat to us. We one-shot most things, and attacks do very little damage. There is, however, ridiculous amounts of RNG. Sticking with the Final Fantasy speedrun motif, a lot of people might be familiar with the Final Fantasy IX speedrun, and how RNG heavy it is. One of the things that makes Final Fantasy IX such an RNG heavy speedrun is the random encounters, because there's no step route like there is in other Final Fantasy games like 7 and 8 have very hyper optimized step routes. Final Fantasy IX does not. So the number of encounters you get can vary, and I think the average number of encounters for Final Fantasy IX speedrun is somewhere in the neighborhood of 60. The average number of encounters in a Final Fantasy 1 speedrun is 160. So there's that.
Yeah. Here's our second glitch menu.
So we're doing the same thing. Basically what Talbrik is doing is selecting on one of the party members an item slot, and then simultaneously equipping and menuing to the character either immediately to the left or to the right. And what happens when he does that is, instead of equipping the item that he had selected on the slot that he had selected, it equips on the next character.
Everybody say hi, Jack.
on whatever slot that character is set to, the item that has the same identity in that item slot. It's okay if that doesn't make any sense. Basically, you get real good stuff that isn't actually in your inventory. So Talbrik just gave himself, well, the first menu we did earlier on, Talbrik gave himself knight's armors, which give us much better defense than we're supposed to have. He actually made an extra knight's armor so that he can sell it and get money. And then that second menu, he equipped, oh gosh, what's the staff?
The Judgment Staff.
Judgment Staff, thank you. Which casts Flare, which is a very powerful spell. So that's what we'll use for the time being for all of our attacks.
Yeah. But Flare also takes a really long time to cast. So like that first sort of mini boss fight, which was Jack Garland.
Jack Garland.
We just bopped him on the head with our Judgment Staff, light bulb staffs. And just hit him until he fell over. Because Flare is really slow. It's wickedly powerful, but really slow. But so here's a plot check-in, which we won't do frequently because the plot to this game doesn't exist. But basically, we appeared out of nowhere, came from a UFO, I don't know, and we had these crystals, told the king we were the Warriors of Light and we need to go save the world, and the king said, well, the bridge is broken, and I will only fix it if you save my daughter. So we went and we saved Princess Sarah, so that way the king would repair a bridge so we could save the whole world. And that's kind of how the game goes. We go to all of these cities and do something to help the city, and then they help us in our quest.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, Talbrik says the plot doesn't really exist. It's pretty true. The plot is very thin on the ground. The game originally came out in 1987, and they hadn't invented plot yet in 1987. They didn't know what it was. It wouldn't be discovered for at least another 5 or 6 years. But that's okay, because the music slaps.
The music is very good.
With every Final Fantasy game.
Yes. If you are interested in playing Final Fantasy 1 casually, I do highly recommend the Pixel Remaster. The Pixel Remaster of FF1 through 6 are all really good casual versions of the game. They're also good speed versions. But the music in the Pixel Remasters is rockin'.
Is fantastic. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the Pixel Remasters, without exception, have better scores. It's the same music. It's still all the same pieces. But the rescored versions of all those pieces, I think, are improvements without exception.
Yeah.
Plus, you get diagonal movement.
Wow. One step and then another encounter. That's annoying. So this is Provoca, which you've all seen before. If you remember, Provoca had a pirate problem. It has a pirate problem again.
Not for long.
But I'm also going to do some shopping really quick.
So this is why we bought the extra knight's armor, so that Talbrik could turn around and sell it.
And here's Bick again, the same pirate, and he's going to sick all of his pirate lackeys on us.
But he has a name?
I think so.
Oh.
At least he did in Stranger of Paradise.
I didn't know that.
And here's Flare. So say goodbye to the pirates. And
Flare being an area of effect spell, super overpowered.
Yes.
Because in Final Fantasy 1, again, random encounters, so you'll get a bunch of different combinations of stuff, but you can get enemy parties anywhere between 1 and 9 enemies. And physical attacks only do damage to 1 enemy at a time. Magic attacks and things like the Judgment Staff, area of effect spells, are great for large enemy parties.
And
anyway, Talbrik just beat up that pirate so bad that the pirate gave him his ship.
Yep. I should have flared this. Hey!
Nice. Quick escape. So, and this won't always be the case, because later we will get items that make our party faster. And speed has no effect on your attacks or anything like that, but it does affect your chances of success when you're trying to flee from encounters, which we do a lot of. Some enemies have much higher speed than our party. That includes wolves on the land and Sahagins in the water. I just call the Sahagins the wolves of the sea, because it's basically the same fight, just different skin.
Yep.
And they're very difficult to run from. Sometimes you luck out, sometimes it's just quicker to kill them and move on. And there are, in addition to some encounters just being hard to run from, there are some that are impossible. And that's just something you sort of learn as you learn the speed run. You learn which combinations of enemies constitute an unrunnable encounter. And it varies depending on where you are in the game.
Yeah, I would say
sometimes you do have to kill them. You will never be able to run.
Yeah, I would say the biggest time save in this run comes from really small movement optimizations and quickly reacting to encounters. So like right now, there are no unrunnable counters in the encounter table. So I know if I get in a fight, I just hold the shoulder buttons and try to run away. But yeah, eventually you kind of have to wait and see what you're fighting and then say, okay, what do I do for this? Movement, like Octini was saying earlier, there's it's super random. Every time you take a step, your threat level increases, and at a certain point, you get an encounter. Different types of tiles increase your threat level by a different amount. So you'll see me like try to avoid forests when I can, or try to walk on marsh tiles when I can. Ooh, please don't die.
Yeah, so we won't always take the most direct route.
Oops.
Because we want to walk on the safest terrain.
Did I miscount?
Did you not load? Oh no!
There we
Sorry, I
go.
wasn't paying close enough attention to let you know. So
Hey,
we
four.
Talbrik just encountered what's called a spike encounter, which means that we knew this encounter was going to happen. It happens every single time you step on this tile, which is fine because we need the experience from these Pisco Demons. Pisco Demons are one of the enemy types that is an unrunnable encounter. And in this encounter, you can get 2, 3, or 4 Pisco Demons. We need at least 3 for our experience track. So getting 4 there, perfect. Should be in good shape. And now we have a crown, and we're going to go give the crown to who we think is the king.
Yeah, so what we're trying to do right now, if you saw me like duck into a castle earlier just to kind of move myself along the overworld, that was the castle of Elfheim. And you're supposed to go there and find out that the prince is sick, and you have to go to the Marsh Cave and get the crown and take the crown to the Elf King in the ruined castle. Which, you know, red flag right there. Why is the Elf King hanging out in a ruined castle? So that's what we're doing. We're taking the crown to the Elf King. Spoiler alert.
He's a goth kid, okay?
Yeah, spoiler alert. The Elf King is Astos, the king of the Dark Elves. So he's gonna try to kill us. I'm getting a lot of ambushes. Goodness gracious.
That's another big, that's another big RNG thing. Thing is not the word I wanted to use there, but I can't think of the word I want. Because in addition to just the number of encounters you're going to come across, you also have to deal with, are they going to be ambushes? Are they going to be preemptive attacks? I would take 200 preemptive encounters over 120 ambushes every day of the week.
Yeah,
ambushes
preemptives you are guaranteed to flee on the first flee attempt.
And with an ambush, every member of the enemy party gets an attack before you can even attempt to flee. So if you get ambushed by a 9 enemy party, you're going to be in that encounter for a really long time, no matter what you do. Thing is the most technical speedrun terms. It's true.
So the Astos fight is coming up. Astos has a chance to use Death on his first turn, which is okay as long as he doesn't kill the Black Mage.
Knock on something made of wood right now.
I don't have any wood near me, except for my floor. My floor is. Okay, we got it. We're good. Hey, okay.
So yeah, we should be home free now because Astos should not get another turn. But yeah, Astos does open the fight, and sometimes the opener is death. And totally fine if Astos kills the warrior or the thief, no big deal. We can live with Astos killing the white mage. The black mage is a problem because that throws our experience track way off. And we would have to grind for a couple of random encounters in the overworld to catch up.
Yeah, so we're going to go swing by Elfheim again. And the way spells work in this game... Did you say this earlier?
I don't know.
Okay. The way the spells work in this game is you have to be a certain level to purchase the spell from a shop. So our mages have to be a high enough level to learn the spell.
I have not said this. You're good.
Okay. And so
I can't remember what I've said though, man.
That's fair.
I'm running on Baja Blast and adrenaline right now.
But yeah, so we have just enough experience to be able to get the spells that we need on our black mage. I think I went one tile too far. I did. Oh well.
And the you may have just said this. I don't know. But you are getting a lot of ambushes. Wow,
yeah.
And a lot of poisons.
I think my luck stat is not very good.
Yeah,
Holy crap.
Your luck stat must be... is it possible to get a 0?
Well, I've had a few luck ups, but not a lot.
So, talking about the stats, the stats are randomized every time you play, including stat increases. So, you roll random stats at the beginning of the game, and every time you level up, you increase a random amount of all those stats. So, even though you might be able to look at, say HP, because that's the only one that you can actually view. You look at your HP, you say, all right, well, I need to have this much HP by the time I get here, and I'm gonna level up this many times, so I should be good. You can't bank on that, because you never know how much your HP is actually going to increase every time you level up. It's not usually a problem, although sometimes your mages, if they get really low HP rolls on level ups, can be a little bit low. We don't really care about that until we get to the very end of the game.
Well, we care a little bit at the one spot that we stop to grind, but...
That's true. Yeah. But I think you're actually in pretty good shape already.
Yeah, I think I'm fine. They're both just over 100.
The Black Mage is usually the one that is stubborn about having low HP, and Talbrik's Black Mage, I think, is already at about 80-something.
I think he's 103, yeah.
Oh, he's up over 100, so yeah, you're great.
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, we need the Black Mage to basically be above 70 20 minutes from now. So the fact that the Black Mage is already above 100 is fantastic.
Yeah. Which this run is not on a great pace already, I will tell you that. The encounters have not been kind to us.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
That's true.
That's actually one of the nice things about speedrunning Final Fantasy 1, which, by the way, if anyone is interested in speedrunning Final Fantasy 1, it is amazingly accessible.
Yes.
There is an incredibly thorough guide. You can pick it up. You can pick it up literally in a week. That's kind of what I did. My first casual playthrough of this game, because there is really no plot and the RNG is so frustrating, my first casual playthrough of this game turned into a blind speedrun. I just followed the guide until I beat the game. And you just do that a few times, and eventually you have the guide memorized, and congratulations, you're speedrunning it. But what was I saying? I was going somewhere with this.
I don't know.
Forgot.
I do have
Something
the guide
about
open,
RNG.
just like the second half of the game, just to make sure. But
Oh, yes. Thank you. So, one of the nice things about speedrunning this is your run is never really dead. I mean, unless it actually dies. But how about this? A PB is never really dead. Because it can swing so wildly. You can have a really, really terrible first half, and then save tons of time in the back half. Similarly, you can have a really great first half and then lose it all. Just because there are so many different swings in RNG.
I would argue that my PB is probably dead already.
Well, yeah, okay, that's fair. Talbrik's PB is dead because Talbrik is probably the second best Final Fantasy 1 speedrunner in the world.
I'm
So-
third place.
Oh, that's fair. I always forget about Soma.
So,
Sorry, Soma.
Yeah, Soma's ridiculously good at this game. And so is Porsyth. They are both better than me.
But Talbrik is very, very good at this game.
Which chests do I want? These two? Yes.
Left, right. Yeah, this is sort of a complex menu. We're going to switch a bunch of stuff around. We're going to give
That's
all of
not
our
right.
party thieves armlets. Which is funny because we have party members wearing thieves armlets as helmets and as gloves.
Yeah, that's the other really nice thing about the glitch, is you can put like an armor type on any armor slot. Even if it's a helmet, it can go on any armor slot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so things that should not be compatible with the slot, you can just toss it on there.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, now
really
that
the only stat that it cares about is defense.
yes.
So it doesn't really matter what you're putting where.
And now that everybody has 3 thief armlets, we can pretty much run from anything we want.
Yes, the thieves armlets increase your speed, so we're no longer as concerned about the wolves or the Sahagins. Sometimes they are still a little bit aggravating, but the frequency with which we escape quickly should go way up. And,
That was a 1
Talbrik
encounter
got
nitro powder, I
TNT.
think.
We're going to give the TNT to a dwarf who's going to blow a hole in the world.
Yes. Yeah, we are currently in a what's the word I'm looking for? Like an inner sea. It is in the middle of a continent. We cannot get outside. It's like a giant lake, but saltwater.
I was going to say, a lake?
I assume it's saltwater though. That, or we just like destroy the ecosystem here in 2 minutes.
I think there is a term. Hang on. I'm Googling. Is there a term for a landlocked sea?
Like I'm thinking about like the Dead Sea, right? Like that's
All right, hang on. Tectonic shifts block their access to larger bodies of water, and they are now completely surrounded by land. Some of these seas are called hypersaline lakes due to the extremely high saltwater high salt content in their waters. Among these landlocked seas is the Caspian Sea between Europe and Asia.
Hi, Narek.
So they are hypersaline lakes, but they are still named the something sea. So
Gotcha. So yeah,
There you go.
we were sailing around a hypersaline lake, but we want to get out into the world and we want to take our boat with us. So we have given Narek TNT, and we're gonna skip most of the cutscene. But Narek is gonna blow a hole in the continent.
yeah, so there's these little quick time events that you can't skip, but then every now and then those will switch to like FMVs.
Like
and the
that.
FMVs will skip.
And now we skipped it. And now there's a hole in the continent that we can sail through.
You know, yeah, I had never really given any thought to like, are we just irreparably damaging the ecosystem right now? Like, what if you just blew up the Hoover Dam? That wouldn't be good.
Don't give anyone any ideas, Octini.
Fair enough.
We here at Meteor Speedruns do not recommend blowing up the Hoover Dam.
We do not endorse nor encourage ecological terrorism.
Unless you're playing Final Fantasy VII.
Oh yeah.
Because if you haven't realized, Final Fantasy VII is about eco-terrorism.
Yeah, it is. But Talbrik, I miss the good old days before games were woke.
Oh goodness.
Before.
Welcome to Melmond. This is my favorite menu in the game.
Oh, this is a great.
Oh,
menu.
I need to sell the Knight's Armors though.
It's a great menu when you remember how to do it.
Hey, that's not the hard part.
Nice.
That was a little bit slow, but it just all goes in one direction. It's really nice. But so we just glitched in the Barbarian Sword, which
The last sword you will ever need.
I think it is the strongest sword in the game. It is.
I think it's the strongest weapon. Well, yeah.
Yeah. It is a post-game weapon. And something that's really interesting to me, like, the thief is not supposed to be able to use swords. And because of that, I think the thief technically has, like, higher base damage than the warrior. Just so that way he can keep up. Well, because of our glitch, he can get swords. Which means our thief deals the most damage out of all of our characters.
Yep. You would assume that the warrior would be sort of the main damage dealer. As far as physical damage goes, it's the thief for the majority of the run. The black mage is the real MVP of the run though, because the black mage does the most magical damage, and with large enemy parties, those spells and area of effect attacks are real key. We do that. Bearing that in mind, we do have the party. So obviously we have very specific party members. They are also in a specific order, in part because they need to be in a specific order for the menus that we do to work. And Talbrik is actually going to switch the black and white mage back and forth in their party order over the course of the run. But the warrior is first in the lineup because the first party member in the lineup is the most likely to be attacked. And the warrior generally has the most HP and pretty good defense. So he's sort of the tank.
Hi, Vampire. Oh, this is a really good split.
Yeah, you made good time.
Gonna save about 45 seconds over averages. And so that's why we get the Barbarian Sword.
Because now we'll one-shot essentially everything. With the exception of the bosses.
And those will, like, two-shot.
Yeah. Well, is the vampire a boss? Probably mini-boss, right? That's probably
He's a boss. At this point, we haven't really gotten to the real
really
quest of the Warrior of Light.
Yet. Yeah.
Yeah. So Malmond was like, the Earth is rotting. It's coming from the Earth Cave. So we go to the Earth Cave. We assume it's the vampire.
Which feels prejudice against vampires, by the way.
A little bit, yeah.
You run into a vampire and you just assume that they're the one who's causing all of this decay.
I mean, I think he says something about it, but still. And we pick up the Star Ruby, and we're going to go give the Star Ruby to a stone giant as payment to let us pass. And then we go talk to a sage, and the sage tells us, hey, you're the Warriors of Light. There's 4 horrid fiends that you need to go kill. And that's what we spend an hour doing.
So I speedrun this game as well. I'm not as good as Talbrik. I will never admit to that on the record. I'm deleting this VOD. But I speedrun this game as well, and Talbrik and I race quite a bit. We've raced at a number of marathons and just kind of in our own time as well, because it's a lot of fun to race this game. especially just because of the levels of RNG make for some really interesting results sometimes. But one thing that we very often do, especially at speedrun marathons, when we race, is we put up a wager. Do you know how much do we usually wager?
I can't remember at all.
Okay. Call it $25. So we wager like $25. And what I tell Talbrik is if Talbrik wins, I'll donate $25 to the charity of whatever the marathon is. And if I win, I'll donate $25. What Talbrik doesn't know right now is that I'm racing him currently.
Are you seriously?
I'm not actually playing the game. I just pulled up my PB in another window, and I'm making him try and keep up with me.
Oh, what a jerk. Are you ahead?
Oh, yeah, I'm crushing you. Are you kidding me? My PB's really good.
I know.
So, Talbrik, you have to beat a 124.38.
That's not going to happen.
But if you do, I'll donate $25.
This is on pace to probably be like a 129, maybe. Man, you pulled up your PB? How rude.
Would you prefer that I switch over to the 128 that I got at I don't even remember the name of the event?
No, whatever. At least I'm not racing my own PB.
Well, yeah, there are literally 2 people in the world who are capable of beating that PB.
I don't even know what my PB is. I honestly can't remember. Is it like a 121?
It's a 121. Talbrik was the second person ever to get a 121. No one has ever gotten a 122. Fourth place, I think, is a 123. I think.
I mean, I assume me, Forsyth, and Soma have gotten a 122 at some point.
That's okay. That's fair enough. No one has There's no one on the leaderboard with an active 122. That's what I should say.
Okay, well, I'll catch you in the back half. That's what always happens.
That is what always happens. It's weird. I always jump out to an early lead, and then I watch it slip away. There's a clip from a race that we had, where very, very late game, we are in the final dungeon of the game. There's like maybe 10 minutes left. And we are on the exact same tile at the same time. We are literally tied. And then I get an encounter and Talbrik doesn't. And he stays ahead for the rest of the run. And it pains me to watch that clip. Every time it hurts.
Yeah, I mean, I won't get anywhere near my PB because I've done this run twice in the last 6 months. But it was probably 3 years ago now, 2 years ago, there was a route change, and the world record had held for a very long time. And then there was a route change, and it's been broken by multiple people multiple times.
Yeah, so one of the things you can do in this game is what's called a class change, where your party has a glow up. Talbrik got stoned. There we go. We're okay.
Don't tell my students.
But we used to do the class change in the speedrun because while it was still viable to beat the game without doing the class change, it was really slow. But doing the class change takes a long time. You have to go out of your way, do a couple of like side quest things, and then talk to a dragon and yada yada yada. As you do. And someone finally figured out how to make skipping the class change faster. Now, the double-edged swordness of that is it's faster if everything goes well. because it makes the end of the game a lot more volatile. The final boss fight, for instance, used to be completely free. Like it wasn't fast, but assuming that you did all of your setup correctly, you would never die. The final boss fight now, significantly less safe. If you do all your setup correctly, and if you play it fairly conservatively, usually you won't die. But even you can do everything right, and the final boss can still just wipe you out because they feel like it.
Yeah, the entire final dungeon, the entire final dungeon is a lot more dangerous now.
Yeah.
And like, just to give you an idea of how volatile this game is in general from RNG, like the split I'm on right now, my gold for this split is 3 minutes and 22 seconds. My average over however many runs they count for that in live split is 6 minutes and 46 seconds. So my average is over 3 minutes longer than my gold split. Just because encounters are wild.
Yeah. So with the updated route, a good run is faster than the old route, but a bad run is much, much slower. So since the route update, we have seen the world record get lowered by like 3 minutes.
I think so.
About 3 minutes. But not a lot of other movement in the top, 10-ish spots. Because there are still Speaking of RNG, Talbrik just got wiped by the first real boss of the game, which is why we save right before that boss fight. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of movement otherwise in the top, 10 or 15 places on the leaderboard, in part because a lot of people still opt to run the older route because it's so much safer, but also in part because in order to get one of those top times,
what?
Grind. No way.
How did he? Oh, somebody do the math on how much damage I just did and go look up how much health he has, because he should have died.
Oh no.
I think maybe now's a good time to cut in with a donation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, please.
We've had $30 from Dercy Uwu, who says, "Hi Bricky, good luck. Thank you for doing things to Octini and the Octiniverse. One day I want to help."
Thank you, Durs.
I'm not sure exactly what that means, but hopefully you do.
Oh, that was okay.
What the
I was
heck?
trying to figure out who that was. I was like, there's no one named Dercy in our community. Thank you, Durs.
Lich is trolling me hard.
Wait, did it happen a third time?
Yes.
Oh my god.
And I got 2 attacks off again.
All right, so chat, this never happens. Hang on, I need to redeem that real quick. Hang on. Where's my? There's that.
There we go.
Okay, so what's happening right now, and Talbrik did just finally beat Lich, but what's happening right now is Lich, the first real like big scary boss of the game, has the ability to outspeed you and cast Blizzard.
Which is what happened the first fight.
Yes. If Lich casts Blizzard, you die. Period. It's game over. Because it does a lot of damage, despite the fact that you're wearing really good armor. That's what happened the first time. Was Lich got the first turn and used Blizzard. The second and third time, Talbrik got in a couple of attacks, and then Lich used Blizzard. So a fourth try Lich, very, very uncommon.
I would reset at this point. Like, even if I was just doing this for fun, I would just reset.
Yeah, where was your Lich split?
I did Lich at 35-46.
Ooh, okay. So a good, and again, the run is never really dead, right? But top runners generally aim for about 30 minutes for Lich. So 35, not an excellent pace to this point. But your old PB, it was I think it was when you still had a 124.
Yeah.
Do you remember what your Lich time was?
Around 34, 35, yeah.
Yeah. So Talbrik's old PB had a terrible. I always call it the first half, even though it's really only the first third. But had a terrible, first third through Lich, and then the back 2/3 was the fastest I have ever seen anyone beat this game.
Anders,
And
no
then
one forgot you
Talbrik-
existed. You went by Dersey Uwu for your donation.
And Talbrik's current PB is basically just the same back 2/3 with a good first third. Again, he's really good at the game, y'all. Like, really good.
But this is Crescent Lake. The other sage told us to go here. There's a circle of sages, and we have to go to the circle of sages to get the canoe, which allows us to travel on fresh water. We're also going to do another menu glitch here. Remember to buy the mithril sword. And this is when we will, oh, I reset, right. We will change our order in this menu. Oops.
And we do that because you can only equip items to characters immediately to the left or to the right. And obviously you can do that with anybody. But there are characters who have items already equipped that we need to move to the next character over. And sometimes we just can't make it work from 2 characters away. So we have to flip-flop the mages. We will flop them back later. I guess we will flop them. We just flipped them, and we're gonna. Is a flip-flop? Is it a flip-flop?
That's a good
when
question.
you just do it once, or do y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like if you're making flapjacks or pancakes. Why did I say flapjacks? I'm American. If you're making pancakes, do you flip them or do you flip-flop them?
Yeah. Did you just flip-flop the mages, or did you just flip them?
And I'll
And you will
flop them
flop
later.
them later.
To me, a flip is a little bit more careful, and a flop is a little bit more like you're just throwing it down.
Yeah, a little more carefree and
Yeah.
yeah.
Like you flip your playing cards, but like if you throw it onto the table, you flopped them.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You flop stuff. You flop stuff when you want the world to know how dangerous you are. And I'm mysterious, and edgy. I flop things.
I hope this is the content you all came for.
Look, this is the content you get when I'm doing commentary for stuff. It's
This is the scariest dungeon in the game, so
yeah, it is.
I should heal my mages. Do you want to explain why I'm not healing Warrior and Thief?
Yeah, so we need the warrior and the thief to die. Is the short version. We want them dead by the time we get to not the end of this dungeon, but as far into this dungeon as we're going to go, because soon we are going to do an XP grind, but we're only grinding for levels on the 2 mages. We need to get them leveled up quite a bit, actually. They're probably level 10 or 11 right now. I've never bothered to look.
Yeah, around that.
And we need to get them up to level 18, essentially. And splitting XP between all 4 party members would make that take longer. So we kill off the thief and the warrior, or we let our enemies kill them off. And then we do... I talked about a spike encounter earlier. There's a spike encounter that we're going to trigger repeatedly until we get those 2 mages to where we want them. And there's if the thief and the warrior don't die, or if they're not low enough on HP, and they are actually, there are these spikes.
Thief, I want a little bit lower.
That's fair. He's in the 50s. there's spiked floor that you can walk over that will just do damage to your party even outside of an encounter. So Talbrik might like take a couple extra steps on those spikes.
Yeah, except now that I know I'm racing a 124, I don't know how much time I want to waste. That's good.
So yeah, 1 and 30. 30 is totally fine because the spike encounter we're gonna get, that enemy has the ability to do. We want thunder, right? Is it thunder or Thundara?
Thundara, I think.
Thundara, and it does about 70 points of damage. So both of our mages should be totally fine. Ooh, Piscos.
That was the wrong spell.
Fine. It should still kill.
Nah, it won't.
So that's best case scenario. If our thief and warrior are still alive going into this spike encounter, best case scenario is a first turn Thundara. And if we don't get it first turn, we'll just defend until it does happen.
Yeah, we've gotten pretty lucky in here. There is a chance that you run into like white dragons or things like that if they ambush you, perfect. If they ambush you, can wipe your party. So things have been good. Let's not forget to pick up the Levistone.
And now Talbrik is just going to take a step to the right and then back to the left.
Or I'll get an encounter.
Or you'll get an encounter on the non-spike encounter. That very rarely happens. And we're just going to fight this evil eye over and over and over and over again. And there's no danger in it because we'll always get first turn. And it only takes one attack to kill. Which is why it's a real... And between that and the fact that you just get a lot of XP from fighting it, it's a great opportunity to do grinding.
Yeah, so if we're being safe, we would grind all the way up to level 18. If we're racing the 8th place run on the leaderboard, we'll get to level 17 and then take one more fight.
Yeah, you can do... We call it 17 plus 1. And even then, at level 18 still isn't where we need to be eventually.
Correct.
Eventually, we have to be level 19. That's why we're doing this level grind, is we need the mages to level 19 in order to purchase the spells that we're going to want.
But we will have two boss fights before we need to be level 19.
And guarantee us at least one level up.
Close to, yeah. And probably at least 6 unrunnable encounters, if I had to guess.
To answer your question from a couple minutes ago, Shavil, correct. There's no friendly fire. We do not have the ability to attack our party members like you do in some later Final Fantasies.
Oh, I did get to 18. I miscounted.
And now we revive the thief and the warrior.
Yes.
Heal everybody up to full.
In the old route, you kept the warrior dead. I'm going to save just to be safe.
Yeah, poor warrior. The warrior used to stay dead for like almost half of the run.
So which spawned one of my emotes. I have a little emote with the warrior face down on the ground with a sign that says RIP. Oh, thank goodness that was a preemptive. Okay, I thought it was an ambush for a second and my heart skipped a beat.
And that's what makes this dungeon dangerous, is there are some encounters that you can run into that will ruin your day.
We're out!
And I don't think you saved before the experience grind, did you?
I did not, no. I mean, before the experience grind is fine.
Escaping, you would have had to do that grind all over.
No, I saved right after the grind.
Oh, there you go, okay.
Yeah. Because the grind is once you're there, it's not a problem. Oops.
Shavil, I didn't answer the other question because while I know the song you're referencing, I don't know who wrote it, so I don't get is it Third Eye Blind? Is that the eye joke? Like, if you had to make me guess, I would have said it was like Oh god, who's the band that wrote Iris? Which is another I joke, but that's not even why. The Goo Goo Dolls.
The Goo Goo
Like I would have
Dolls.
said, I would have thought it was the Goo Goo Dolls, but that has nothing to do with Evil. So I understand the joke, but I don't have a good comeback
Yeah.
for it.
There's an
Why?
airship buried in this desert. Fun fact.
Yeah, there is, and we're gonna use a Levistone to get it out.
Yes. Speaking of songs and evil, what's the song that our dad never sang the right lyrics to? And he would go,
Do you have any
"Evil
idea how that narrows
woman."
it down?
Oh, he thought it was "Evil Woman" or something. I can't remember. Yes, Ray, all of them.
It
It is Evil Woman. Yes,
It is Evil Woman, and he would sing Beautiful Woman.
right.
Oh, goodness. For those who don't know, Talbrik and I are real-life siblings.
Yes.
So there is some sibling banter that happens when we are on the microphone together.
Which is like also one of the things that makes it very fun when Octini and I race this game.
Yes.
Is there is some real life merit to it.
You and I take different airship paths, so I always get nervous anytime I see you flying because I think you've forgotten where to go.
Coming up is my only contribution to this route.
It's true.
We
You
used to
did-
buy
you
high
did
potions.
discover this.
We used to buy high potions somewhere else. This one is like 10 less tiles out of the way.
Yeah, it's maybe a second and a half faster.
Yeah. So everyone who buys their high potions there, you're welcome.
Gabby, how dare you? I am at least 6 times more attractive than him.
So also, in case you are unaware, I am a high school teacher. Which one of the things that happens when you teach high school is eventually your students' Facebooks start to recommend you as a friend. And because they're children, they will 100% click on your profile. So yesterday, literally yesterday at lunch, I had some students holler at me from across the cafeteria. They were like, "Are you and your brother twins?" And I was like, "No." Also, why do you know what my brother looks like? And their faces went pale, and they said, "We just scrolled through your Facebook." And I was like, maybe don't do that.
Wait, why? That would I don't have a Facebook.
No, but there are pictures of you.
That's fair. Okay. I deactivated my Facebook years
Yeah.
ago. Also, Trenton, hi. Trenton, who just
Hey,
chimed in
Trenton.
chat, is another speedrunner of this game, and he is correct. The NPC movement,
Yes.
in front of that shop is much friendlier than
Yeah.
where we used to buy the high potions.
We used to not go in that shop, and sometimes the NPC would get in your way, and the way to reset him was to duck into the shop. So it really just is better. Yeah, Cheviel, it is private, but like you can still see some things.
Also, you're leaving in.
Yes,
A week?
also I
Do you know
only
what a
work
week
there for
are?
5 more days.
Dang. It's so wild. Yo, my little brother is getting a master's degree. I'm so proud of him.
Oh, you're not allowed to say that.
Oh, okay, fine. You suck.
Thank you.
Yeah, my brother and I and my wife, Miss Ray, who you have seen throughout. Basically, speed running for us is just like a family affair.
Yes.
All 3 of us speed run, and we all speed run sort of the same games. And there's a lot of co-op and a lot of racing. And anyway, what was I saying? I was gonna mention. Oh,
You were gonna say
3
we
of
were
us
all
got
music majors.
degrees. Talbrik has a music education degree. I have a voice performance opera degree, and Miss Ray has a piano performance degree. Of the 3 of us, Talbrik is a music teacher. He will continue being a music teacher after he gets his master's. Ray is an accompanist and a piano teacher, and the future owner of a whole piano studio, assuming everything plays out the way it should. I am a systems administrator. I do not use my degree at all.
What am I doing?
But let me tell you, when I sing in the shower, it sounds good. Because I spent $40,000 to learn how.
The Rosetta Stone!
I don't think you have to open that one from the side, do you?
Nope.
Okay, cool.
You don't.
There are two chests. There are two chests in this dungeon that we have to get. The first one is the Rosetta Stone, which we're going to use later. And the other one is, I don't even know, some item that we only use because it allows us to do an item dupe glitch. But the second chest, 3 of the tiles around the chest are spike encounters. So we have to open it from a very specific position.
Yeah.
It's the light axe, thank you.
Yes. Which it's so in the old route, I don't know why I still talk about this because it was years ago at this point.
Yeah.
The old route, you could equip the light axe to both the warrior, who had become the knight, and the thief, who had become the ninja. But because we have it on class upgrades, the thief can equip less things than the ninja.
Fewer things.
Whatever. So this next menu is kind of interesting. Basically, every other time we've done the glitch, we have been creating new items. But this next menu, we're going to create survival vests, and then also use the glitch to equip survival vests that we've already created.
Correct. We also used to be able to use the teleport spell, which no longer works because it only works if you have done your class upgrade. So there's a lot of backtracking out of lengthy dungeons that we didn't used to have to do. That's a big part of the reason that it used to be slower to skip the class upgrade, was because the teleport spell saved a lot of time. And it would still save a lot of time. There you go. So Talbrik has to open that chest from the right side. Yeah, it would still save a lot of time, but we managed to knock off enough time in other places that theoretically the new route is faster. But again, only if it goes well. And Shavil, yeah, you are correct. Ray and I's 5-year-old already plays the piano. There's a lot of music in our house, and I love it very much. So Talbrik has now gotten everything we need out of the sunken shrine, and we're gonna go kill Mr. Fancy Pants Kraken.
Yes. I will say, if you're interested in learning this, this is probably the dungeon that is hardest to learn the movement for. Everything is very similar looking, and it's a little bit more
long,
open. It's long, and there's backtracking, and yeah, it's... I always have moments where I'm like, is this right?
Yeah.
Oh, this...
There is...
this way?
So I mentioned it's very accessible. There's a really, really thorough written guide. And that guide includes appendices that has maps of all the dungeons and like drawn out the route that you should take. A friend of ours, Talbrik's and I, who has run this game, doesn't really run it anymore, but has run this game in the past, was the real MVP and created like an amended version of the guide where instead of having the written route and then the appendices at the end, he just stuck all of the maps kind of in line in the guide, and it's incredible. I still usually have it open next to me when I'm doing speedruns of the game, just in case I need it. It's fantastic.
Does that exist for the Rat Jam route? I thought it was the old route.
Yeah, no, it exists for the Rat Jam route.
Okay.
I think Total maybe made it just for me. I'm not sure.
That might be true. I don't know. But yeah, shoutouts to Total Nonsense for creating that. He did the same thing with the Final Fantasy II Pixel Remaster.
Did
which
he really?
That route is now obsolete. But
Oh, darn.
I
was going to say, I might actually learn it then.
You can still use that route, but that patch that happened like right before the Final Fantasy Relay changed a few things.
Look, all I need to be convinced to learn a new speedrun is for someone to write an incredibly thorough and yet not overly detailed, because I have to be able to follow it while playing games, guide with maps of every single location, including overworld movement, that is easily digestible and memorizable, in not too long a period. I don't think I ask too much.
Yeah, that's like, I love speedrunning. It is very fun. It itches a similar part of my brain that like music does with practice and getting better and that sort of thing. But I cannot route games. Like, I also run Octopath, which you will see in approximately 40 minutes. And when Octopath 2 came out, everybody started doing routing and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, when you have routes, let me know and I will come run them.
That's the nice thing about running old games. Because usually old games have been routed. Like, if there are changes that are discovered, they're minor.
Yeah.
That's the thing I love about running Link to the Past. That game is 30 years old. No one is inventing a new route for it.
Yes. So in this room...
Unless you're Chex and you're just inventing new categories because you're finding new ways to exploit glitches.
Yeah.
But Chex is a mad lad, so...
in this room, we grabbed the ribbon, and we also talked to a robot.
For some reason.
Fun fact, there are robots in this game. And now we're going to create 3 more ribbons by first using our ribbon to create something else, and then use that something else to create ribbons.
Mm-hmm. But yes, learning new speedruns is hard. It's really hard. It just takes a lot of time,
Whoops. This menu still slows me down.
If I had known about speedrunning when I was in college, I imagine I could have been a great speedrun learner, because I would have had all kinds of time to, not study. Well, study speedruns and not academia. But now I got 2 kids and a job, and it's hard, man. It's tough to find time.
Yeah. Speaking of inventing new categories, Trenton is really good at that. Trenton is very good at routing these games.
Oh yeah, Trenton's outstanding.
I think Trenton has like a solo red mage route for Final Fantasy 1 PSP, a few other things like that. But when I was first learning this game, Trenton was super helpful, as was Forsyth and the rest of the FF1 community.
Yeah. Yeah, and for anyone who does really dig Final Fantasy 1 just in general, there's a really excellent rando community for it. Not for this platform. It's is it GBA or is it NES that people run rando on?
I don't remember.
I think it's NES. I don't know.
Yeah.
Good night, Shavil. Thanks for hanging out.
Shavil.
But you'll see on the RPG Limit Break channel, they have Final Fantasy 1 rando races all the time on RPG Limit Break, and that's a lot of fun to watch. And it's the exact same game. The maps are the same, the characters are the same. It's just, randomized and not quite as pretty. Yeah,
there is a rando for PSP, but I haven't looked into it in a long time. I think the NES rando, they found it to where you can get out into the world before you beat Lich, and they have not figured that out for the PSP, I think.
Gotcha. Shavil wants to be reminded of the charity that we're raising money for, which sounds to me like a Garlip's job.
Yeah,
Garlips,
we'll
would you
shut
like
our
to tell us
mouths.
about the charity?
Oh boy, Chief, I'm up. Okay. About RIP medical debts. So, medical debt in the United States is a national crisis. We estimate Americans owe a staggering $1 trillion in medical debt, which impacts more than 79 million Americans and causes more than 70% of bankruptcies. People sell their furniture, their house, their assets. They take out huge loans on credit cards that they can't afford just to pay for basic healthcare, which is not good. And we want to pay as much of that debt off as possible. RIP Medical Debt forgives billions in impressive medical debt for pennies on the dollar. So basically, everything that you donate will become multiplied in some video gamey fashion to become much more money than you put in originally. So if you can only make a donation of a very small amount of money, you're still making a very big difference to people and their medical debt. So please do donate if you can, consider a donation. And at the very least, keep enjoying the runs.
Indeed.
Yeah, thanks, Garlips.
No worries.
And I would like to point out, because I have a hot mic right now and I'm allowed to, and I founded this community, so you can't stop me. The RIPDebt Not Runs event is something that we hold annually. I say annually, this is the third one we've done. We did 2 last year. We might do a second one this year. We'll see. But it is an aspect of what our community does. This is a community that is very much dedicated towards increasing and working towards greater equity and diversity and inclusion within speedrunning and gaming, but also just our own communities online and offline in general. And we do that through education and advocacy and learning from one another's perspectives and life experiences and just being there for each other and trying to be a force for good in the world. So if that sounds like your jam, we are always around. We have a Discord that you can join, and we try and share resources in there as often as possible. So come chill with us. We're good people, I think. I mean, Talbrik's there too, but as long as you
suck.
We're good people.
Okay, I have to complain about this. So this is Mount Gold. My movement has been okay, not great. But so you'll notice I'm walking on lava and I'm flashing yellow and there's a little bit sound. Every lava tile I step on deals 1 damage to my characters. So you would think I would walk on the stone. But when you are on a lava tile, you can't get an encounter. So it is totally feasible to get through Mount Golg with no encounters. I am never that lucky. But I'm really good at my Mount Golg movement most of the time. Octini, on the other hand, never learned their Mount Golg movement, and I think routinely gets through Mount Golg with only 1 or 2 encounters.
Yeah. Very rarely do I make it through with none, but most of the time it's I luck out and I get 1 or 2. But yeah, Mount Golg is basically, you know that game you played when you were a kid, The Floor is Lava? That's all Mount Golg is, except instead of trying to stay off the lava, you stay on the lava as much as possible. That's all it is. And then you kill Merilith at the end, which is probably not something that you did when you played the game as a kid.
Okay, so I switched over my comparisons to my personal best while running through Mount Golg.
Hey, how far are you behind?
I am 5.5 minutes behind my personal best.
You can make that up.
I can probably make up a couple minutes.
You can totally make up 5 minutes in the next 18 minutes.
I don't have to make up 5 minutes. I have to make up 2 minutes.
Oh, that's fair. Ooh,
We just had another donation. Oh, sorry, can I just...
Yeah, go for it.
No.
So we've just had $5 from Shavil Tortu, who said that medical debt sounds That medical debt stuff sounds like a real bummer. Speedrunning sounds way better, to be honest. Yeah, I think we all agree there.
Yeah. Thank you, Shavil. Yeah. Garlips, I don't know if you're around for the next run, but you will just have to interrupt us whenever you want to say something, and we will not be offended.
Oh, no worries, no worries. I'm not on the schedule for the next run, but I mean, if no one shows up, I guess I am.
Well, then for the
I
next...
I can do comms. I can do comms and hosting at the same time. That's not a problem.
Yeah, for the
Okay,
next
all right,
30
well,
minutes at
yeah.
least, just interrupt us.
Okay,
Yeah.
will do.
I usually do. Anytime I'm running in a marathon that isn't one that I organize, I'll have hosts like ask me, when is it an okay time to jump in and read. And I just tell people literally nothing I am ever going to say is important enough that you can't interrupt me.
I'm much the same. I
Always
will just wrap it on forever and fill the space with noise until someone stops me.
I just really enjoy hearing myself talk. That's what it boils down to. I'm a very self-absorbed person. Anyway, now we're getting a chime. All right. One moment, please, chat. My 5-year-old is telling me that they can't reach a timer. I don't know what timer they're referring to, so we're going to find out together. Goose, what timer are we talking about? The black and white square one. Why do you need it?
No.
Why are we setting a 40-minute timer? Oh, is it videos time? Okay.
40 minutes.
It's 40
No,
minutes.
get out of the way. Go down. Oh.
One moment, please. I have to go get a timer from the top of a bookshelf.
The NPCs just absolutely ruined my attempts to get out of that city, which was great. There's a much faster way to get out of Lufenia that I couldn't use.
Okay,
And-
I'm back.
Luckily, if there is an NPC in your way, you can just kind of like try to move on to their space and it will make them move faster. But sometimes they move not the right way, which is what happened to me a lot.
To backtrack just a second, T-Tree, I was not assuming that you wouldn't be here. I just don't know the schedule. Did I create the schedule? Yes. Do I know it? Absolutely not. Oh, the dungeon that Talbrik is in right now, I don't even know if it really counts as a dungeon.
Yeah.
This is one of the highest threat levels in the entire game. I don't think we've really talked about that, unless you have.
A little bit.
Okay, well, I'm going to say it again. Every area, every screen that you're on has a threat level. I think it's 1 to 5.
Every tile type.
There you go. And that's how likely you are to get an encounter. And this screen we're on right now is one of very few places in the game that is a threat level 5. The other one is is an area that Talbrik has already done, but it's the waterfall cavern, which is one of the longest areas of the game. So that's one of those places where it was very, very nice to have the teleport spell that we don't have anymore. But some people will supplement not having the teleport spell with what's called an emergency escape. Which is not something that Talbrik ever does. I never do it. I actually don't even know how to... Well, I know how to... Let me back up. So to get an emergency escape, you have to do what's called 15 puzzle, which happens very early on in the game. And it's just, those slide puzzles where you have to move the little squares around to make a picture, right? And they're impossibly difficult. Well, it's that. And you have to do it in a certain amount of time, but you can't do it too fast, because in order to get the emergency exit, you have to get second place in the slide puzzle game, in the 15 puzzle game. And if you get second place, which is hard enough on its own, there is a 1 in 6, I think?
Something like that.
A 1 in 6 chance that you'll get an emergency exit. So, top runners like Soma and Forsyth will play this game for hours and never get more than like 15 minutes into the run, because they have to reset when they either do or do not get emergency exits.
Yeah, you access the puzzle from the ship. So you play until you get the ship and then do the puzzle.
Yes, which happens very, very early. You can get as many as you want, but we can make use of 2. One of them is, again, fairly early on in the Earth Cavern. You can use the emergency exit to teleport out of the Earth Cavern, and the other one is the Waterfall Cavern, which happens much later. So we don't bother with that, and obviously it's entirely possible to get a very good time in this game without it.
Yeah.
But at this point, if you want world record, you probably have to have at least one emergency exit.
Yeah, I think legitimately, I think Soma's run has one emergency exit, and Soma's in second place. My run has none, and I'm in third. And then Porsyth's first place has 2 emergency exits, I believe. So it is... You basically need one if you want to get world record at this point. Oh. That's okay.
So right now we are fighting Tiamat, who is the 4th of 4 fiends. We haven't really talked about the plot in a while. The fiends are the big baddies. And we have just defeated the 4th of the 4 fiends.
So the world is saved, right?
You would think. Spoiler, it's not. Obviously, because the run's not over.
Yeah, we are in a flying fortress. And there's a room in this fortress with a big, like, window in the floor, whatever you call those. A reverse skylight. A reverse skylight? I don't know.
What's that? Hang on, Google. What do you call a reverse skylight?
Anyway.
Top result, Wikipedia. Louvre inverted pyramid.
Fascinating.
That's not.
Anyway, if you go to that, you can see the energy from the 4 crystals you've restored is all flowing to the same place. And that place is, in fact, the dungeon we went to in the very beginning of the game, where we fought Jack Garland. So we're going to make our way to that dungeon and see what's going on.
See, I just keep thinking of glass bottom boats.
Same.
Because that's where you usually see just, glass on the floor.
Glass bottomed airship? Like, is that what we're calling this?
Airship? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I got nothing.
This cutscene literally doesn't matter to the run.
Yeah, this is like post-game stuff. It's supposed to entice you to go do some extra missions.
Yeah.
But we're not going to do that.
I think we have lost time. Oh, I'm up against a gold. That's why we're losing time on this split.
Do you know who that is, even? I feel like, is that Princess Sarah?
I don't know. I think it's like a nameless NPC. So this is the Chaos Shrine. It's old and kind of, falling apart. And this is the Chaos Shrine 2,000 years ago.
Time travel.
Yes, because...
This game really does just, hit every single one of the RPG greatest hits.
Yeah.
But then you realize that, no, they're not hitting the RPG greatest hits. They're inventing them.
That's true.
Because this game came out in 1987, and all that's happened since then is everybody was like, oh yeah, Final Fantasy did that. We can do it too.
The Chaos Shrine is kind of scary. What do I do?
Yeah,
about these? Well,
there are tons of different encounter types you can run into. Many of them are unrunnable, but there are so many different combinations of enemy encounters that it's difficult to remember which ones can and cannot be run from. And even some of them that can be run from, like you can get white dragon encounters, like 4 white dragons. You can run from that, but it's a bad idea, because if you try and you don't get it basically first try, they can kill you.
Yeah.
So this final dungeon, the Chaos Shrine, very RNG heavy.
Yes.
Extremely RNG heavy. A lot of time is either saved or gained. Saved or lost? Gained or lost? You know what I mean.
This loot we got from Princess Sarah at the very beginning of the game. In the PSP version, is impossible to leave without Sarah giving you the loot. In other versions of the game, you can forget to get the loot, make it all the way to this point, and then not be able to progress.
Which is mean.
Yes.
Did you say in this version you can't do that? Did
Yeah.
you say that already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you try to leave the room in this version, Sarah's like, "Words of light, wait!" And you have to slowly walk back to where she is. So, from a speed perspective, you want to remember because it is faster if you do it yourself.
Gosh, can you imagine if you could leave it behind, though?
I would have
And you
had
get here and you're
so
on
many
PB
runs
pace.
where I was,
You get here and you're on PB pace, and then you just don't have the loot. Oh, that'd be rough. So Talbrik is doing something really clever right now. He set 3 of his characters to try and flee from the White Dragons, and then the Black Mage, who has the ability to kill them, went ahead and didn't attack. And it was just one of those, like, whichever happens first sort of situations.
You can get through this floor with no white dragons.
Yeah, but when does that happen?
Yeah. It happened in my
Certainly not in
practice.
the marathon.
In my practice, it was great, but also in my practice, it took me 4 tries to kill Chaos, so... Ugh. I had saved a minute from when I last told you about where I was on my PB, and then I lost a minute and a half. So,
Ha 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 ha.
we're on pace for like a 127 or so right now.
That's a really good time still.
Yeah, I feel really good about it, honestly, especially with how out of practice I am. Ooh, maybe we
You
get
know
no
that you're
encounters
jinxing
here.
yourself right now, right?
Yeah, I know.
Chaos is gonna nuke you
Yeah.
over and over and over.
Fun fact, my sum of best, though, for Final Fantasy 1, an hour and 8 minutes.
That's so ridiculous.
So 11 minutes faster than world record is my sum of best. This fight's can be bad, so we're just gonna drop a quick save.
Similarly, I think my sum of worst is about 3 hours. So you could say there's a lot of variance. I don't know. You know what poor Scythe's sum of best is?
Probably like 30 minutes. Honestly, it's probably similar to mine. Basically what happens is you run this game enough, and at some point, every single one of your splits becomes a version with no encounters.
Yeah. Yeah, at some point, the only thing separating people skill-wise is how smart they are and how fast they are in determining what to do with encounters. Because you have to make those decisions very quickly, and you have to make the right decision, and how fast you can menu. Those are the 2 big skill differences. The rest of it's RNG.
Yeah. There's some
you go.
there's some like itty-bitty optimizations, like when you get out of a battle, if you try to go a different direction than you just were, it's an extra frame. But like those are the things that like Port Scythe worries about. For the most part, I don't, because I'm never going to be Port Scythe. So, but yeah, like ideally you're paying attention to, okay, what direction was I facing when I got into this battle? And which direction on my D-pad should I be holding as the battle ends? Those sorts of things. And just like remembering, since you have cursor memory, remembering where your cursor is in the battle and what direction you need to go for what you need to do. Those sorts of things. And also just not getting ambushed by 8 enemies. That's also...
Yeah, that's a skill. Did you have any purple worm encounters?
I have not yet.
Okay. I wanted to make sure I hadn't missed any.
Nah, you're good.
They're my favorite Chaos Shrine encounter.
There's one more floor I could get them on, potentially.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's right.
On the Tiamat floor. Because there are no random encounters on Chaos's floor.
So you may have noticed we are re-fighting all 4 of the fiends as we make our way through the Chaos Shrine. Fortunately, they don't really pose any greater threat than they did the first time around, which is to say virtually none.
Yeah, the only scary fight is Lich. So Lich is the scary fight both the first time and the last time. Tiamat could look scary in the second fight because Tiamat might kill like White Mage or Black Mage, but we don't really need them. Whoops. I should heal after that.
I think it is theoretically possible to wipe to Tiamat even if you do everything right, but it never happens.
Why? Why did you say that?
because I love chaos. Not the character, but the state of being.
So Octini's PB is ending soon. Are you in the chaos fight? Okay, so we have one fight left. We're gonna do one more menu glitch, where we actually remove the items that make White Mage faster.
Oh, I want to see you fighting with the purple worm. Purple worm. Purple worm. Yeah. I love the purple worm. Purple worm.
That was spectacular. Can I just say it?
We love purple worms.
I also just love Prince.
Are you serious?
Oh gosh, this is and this is the risk you run, waiting to revive the Black Mage until you get to the Chaos floor, which that's what I do too. I take that risk every single time. But if you get a post Tiamat encounter, oh no!
This is an awkward ambush.
A really awkward ambush. Can you run from this? I don't even know if you can.
Yeah, you can. Any encounter that is an ambush, you can run from.
Oh, that's a good point. Thank you.
Unrunnables will never be an ambush or preemptive. Hi, Jack.
Hi, Jack. Oh, I hate that they named him Jack. It makes me so mad.
We want to give you a ribbon. We're gonna give our Black Mage a big sword.
Because this whole game takes place in this high fantasy world that's has names like Lufania and Astos and like these in amazing high fantasy names that like Tolkien himself could not have picked better. And then 35 years later, we learn that the main antagonist's first name is Jack. And I will die mad about it.
Yeah. So this is where Jack begins to explain to us that we are really in a time loop. And every time the 4 fiends are defeated, they get sent 2,000 years back into the past, where they begin to regain their energy. And Chaos is the one making all of it happen. And Jack reveals that he is, in fact, Chaos.
I'm operating under the assumption that you continue insisting on calling him Jack and not Garland, specifically to bully me.
No, specifically because I find it ridiculous.
It makes me so mad.
At this point, basically we just have to look out for if any of our characters get below 300 HP.
Yes.
Chaos has Chaos can do an attack, a skill, or a spell. And his skills and spells go through specific patterns. We're gonna trust that our warrior can tank it.
Yeah, there's so this is not a scripted fight, but there's four rounds of very specific setup that you follow for this fight. And then after that, all you really need to do is attack and monitor your HP. And Talbrik is... Are you already through? Yeah, you're already through the whole setup.
Yeah, I'm just going to trust that Warrior can tank whatever he throws. So at this point, I'm literally just holding X on my controller for the rest of the fight, unless someone's HP gets too low.
But I mean, seriously, though, look at this boss. Look at how horrifying and grotesque and evil and incredibly well-designed this boss is. I want you to take it in and really appreciate it. And now be conscious of the fact that his name is Jack. And tell me that doesn't fill you with rage.
Okay, White Mage, don't die. I should have healed White Mage. We'll be okay.
Yeah, you're fine.
We should be pretty close.
Pretty close.
Sorry, I should have said that. I don't know who's running timer, but time is going to be
I am.
very soon. Okay. Time.
Oh, I went early.
That's okay. So that's Final Fantasy 1, PSP. My life split says 128.59, which honestly is a really good run.
Sub 90.
Anything that's sub 90 minutes is a good run of Final Fantasy 1.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we didn't even get to, like, you know, donate for your favorite Final Fantasy game. We forgot that. So everybody donate for your favorite Final Fantasy game in intermission, and then we can read those while playing Octopath, because that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm good with that. If people want to donate to defend their Final Fantasy, their favorite Final Fantasy game, we can totally litigate that during the next run. Octopath is Final Fantasy-esque.
It's a Square JRPG. Yeah. You know, it counts.
But I
was
am
just gonna
sorry
say
to
we've
tell
had
you,
one
I
donation.
won our race,
Oh,
You did.
which means I owe you $25.
Yep.
We've also had a donation from Matthias Fan, and then the name cuts off, but it starts with a D. If I hover over it, Matthias Fan, definitely not J. Okay, cool.
Yep, okay.
Has donated $20 and says, "Hey, just sneaking in a donation while I remember. Good luck. Have fun with the marathon. Love you all."
Thank you, Jay.
No, it's not Jay. It's definitely not Jay.
Right, definitely not Jay.
Thank you for that great run, guys. And you're up next, so I mean, you can plug things if you want, or you can disappear and come back with the next run.
Yeah, I guess if you're if you're not sticking around, I am Talbrik. I run mostly JRPGs. As Anders says, here's a JRPG that you probably haven't heard of, but definitely won't hate, is how he describes my channel. And I stream sporadically. So drop a follow, and when you forget about me in 3 months, you'll get a going live notification. So, yeah, but come hang out. You can find me. I'm Talbrik on, I think, all of the social medias I have. So, yeah.
Excellent. And Octini?
I'm here. I'm here all the time. But you can find me occasionally on twitch.tv/Octini, where I speedrun this and Link to the Past and sometimes other things. And I tried to do some co-working streams for a while because my job got really busy, and that lasted for a little bit, and then I realized I'm just in too many meetings during the day to really do co-working. Anyway, sometimes I'm live. If you want to see Talbrik or me or Miss Ray in Discord, we all share a Discord server called the Octiniverse, and you can find links to that in places. Anyway, yeah, that's us.
Yep.
Brilliant, thank you so much. And that's also the end for me as well. We've had another donation. Oh, it was you, Octini. There you are.
Wow.
And that's pushed us up to $900. That's incredible. So, yeah, that's the end of my session. Sorry, my brain is melting slightly. I've been awake for far too long. It's time for bedtime, regardless. But I'm leaving you in the very, very capable hands of a tea tree, who will be up next in the next run. So, yeah, I'm just going to go veg on the sofa and listen to you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Garlips.